Hey everyone, we're continuing this interview with Ryan, one of my students. Sorry there, we had a little internet hiccup, no big deal. So we're going to go back to the question at hand, and that was what to do after the inspection report. So Ryan, as you know, is one of my students, one of the variables that in the beginning is maybe just a pure guess. Maybe it becomes an estimate as you gain experience is the make ready costs. So really what I want that inspection report to do, your walkthroughs, your FaceTimes, whatever you're doing, is we need to validate the make ready. Because by this point, given your relationships, as we've talked about earlier in the show, you should have already validated rents. You've already got the property management fee. You already know insurance. You already know all of that. What we must do is get make ready correct. Because if make ready is off by 20% up or down, it's going to impact yield because that is cash. That's cash coming out of your pocket, thus can impact cash flow coming back. So that's what you need from your inspection report is I need to validate my whatever you're, because if it's a turnkey and you've got zero for make ready and you do your inspections and you need $3,000, well, that, I don't know, it could be meaningful. Maybe it's not, maybe it is. But if you need 10 grand, I promise you it's meaningful. But if you go in and assume it's a B, which again, if you're one of my students, you know what we're talking about, and you've budgeted 12 grand, and it comes back at 8. Well, good news, you're on the upside. So that's what I would do in the beginning. The one thing you need from your inspection reports is you need to validate the make ready costs.
If I'm doing this remotely and especially during COVID, I'm not flying to Houston to take a look myself. And even if I was, I would read the inspection report while walking through and assume everything required $1,000 each.
Yeah.
I've asked the question of the property managers, can they help, but not really knowing whether they are spot on or if they're sending a contractor that's knowledgeable or just some assistant who takes some photos. How can I know that?
Yeah. So again, this is all work you need to be doing the next 60 or 90 days. So you know your PM. You should probably ask for references, right? References of other clients. Probably I would ask for out-of-state clients. And then what I would do when I talk to them is go, hey, by the way, have you had any unit turns? Just curious, what were the costs? I'm estimating, $2,000 for painting, and the person's going to laugh at you. Oh my God, $2,000, dude! I just paid 4,200. Start to ask the follow-on questions as your network grows. Then your property manager is going to have relationships. Ask them what's a handyman do versus a general contractor, right? A handyman can paint, probably lay carpet down, but they're not going to gut a bathroom, right? There's going to be different costs in all of that. If you're looking at single family homes, start getting estimates for, there's things that you do: exterior paint, interior paint, carpet, all of those. Just start asking those questions. But again, use your growing network to continually validate costs. And as you find out more people that invest in Houston, one thing you should do is go to our Facebook group, which is private, and say, hey, I'm looking in Houston. Anybody else buy there? Maybe there's a connection there. And then you could ask the repair questions. So it's all about going next level and assuming you have an informed opinion, but assume you're never right as you gain more and more knowledge.
That sounds like a great idea. When we kind of know those activities, let's say make ready, the network's been built out where I'm validating and invalidating and then validating, and I feel comfortable. Yeah, the make ready here is I have it down as $3,000, and it's probably between 2 and 4. So I've got that down. Any activities? So we say remove contingencies. The lending's in place, and now the inspection I'm comfortable with. When I remove those, are there any other activities for closing that need to be done, or is at that time it's just, hey, DocuSign, hey, a notary comes over, and then we're done with the deal?
There's one, again, I don't know Texas, so there may be something unique to Texas, but one thing in California that could stop any deal, even at the last minute, is the title search, right? You have to have clean title. Right. That clean title is part of every contract in California, and it's not part of the inspection. That's what you're paying title or escrow for. So outside of that, Well, actually, yeah, I mean, there's another one thing that again is in a California contract. I assume it's in Texas, is the condition of the property must stay the same from the day you remove contingencies until the day you close. Let's say, for example, um, I don't know, a hurricane came. Hurricane? Yeah, I guess hurricane. Is that what
Yeah.
Texas has, hurricanes? I don't know.
I think
Whatever.
it hits, yeah, it hits from
Whatever.
the
Tor-
Gulf.
Yeah, let's just say a hurricane hit Houston. Right. You had inspections, everything's good. Hurricane hits, roof's gone. You don't have to close, right? Because condition is not the same as the day of your inspection. So there's that. Um, yeah, I mean, and other things, right? If it's tenant occupied and the tenant's paying rent and then suddenly takes off, right? There's other conditions about it being delivered as you approved it or when you remove conditions, but they're hopefully rare.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you seen any? I mean, you've been through so many properties.
Yeah, I back in 2010, I remember a couple of houses. Again, 2010 is unique, but yeah, I was doing 10-day closings, but I don't know. I remember a streak there of like 3 out of 6 properties got broken into after I had inspected them, and one time we got out, and the other 2 times we got credits for the new damage because again, you take pictures, you have video, you can prove that's what happened,
Yeah.
and then you have a choice, right? You have another negotiation point. And again, that was pretty common in 2010. People were breaking into vacant homes pretty commonly.
Yeah. Interesting stuff going on then.
Yeah.
Um, I one of the things that I qualified the property manager for was how involved can they be, saying, hey, what are the rents? Doing a comparative market analysis for rents. Can you help anyone? Just like as you said, validating is just another asset to say, hey, can you validate this inspection report for me, or can you actually go there or send a contractor and take those photos and the video so I have my own of even the foundation and crawl spaces and everything. At what point, let's say now we're closing or we have a closing date and the notary comes over and it's ours and it's recorded however much longer. How are there specific steps for having a handover of a new property to a property manager? I think I have to do the utilities at the first, like up front.
So in my situation, again, I don't know if Texas has unique laws. You need to arrange someone to pick up the keys, or you need to pay to change locks. I just changed the locks because I never assume. So I just changed the locks that day, but you can arrange to get keys. Usually the agents involved would go get the keys for you, but you have to arrange that. My property manager takes care of all the utilities for me. The very first time for me in California, I had to create the account, right? The very first one. And after that, it just every new property gets added onto my account. So I had to do that for the first time decades ago. But no, once I sign, my agent gets the note that says we are on record is the word, at least in California, on record. It's now my property, and my property manager should pick up immediately. They should, keys should be done that day. A for rent side should be put in the yard. Advertising should start. All of that should start the day we're on record.
Day on record. Okay. And so, and that's kind of, and then at that point, I get to see if I chose the right property manager, it seems like.
You're going to start getting actuals instead of budgets. Yes.
So we've gone through this process. The property is rented. And just as I'm, as we talked at the beginning, I'm time poor. So 15, 20 minutes a day that I can grab, maybe during my baby boy's nap, something like that. I'm looking at new properties. I find another one. I'm making those offers, as you said, at a 8% yield because I want a 7. So having the, or my best offer.
Yeah.
Anything that I should do between the first and the second?
I think you need to give yourself 3 months. So still look every day. This is not permission to stop looking because you need to see the market turn. I want you to get 90 days of being a landlord.
Yeah.
I want you to validate actuals. I want you to validate how fast they rent. I want you to validate the property manager. I've seen too many people go, oh my God, I got one. I'm so excited. Now I have 3, and you haven't even collected rent once yet. Slow down, right? This is a long game. You're going to be doing this for decades. There's no reason to pull the trigger twice when you haven't even seen the impact of the first one. So give yourself at least 3 months between the first and the second, and maybe 3 months after the second one as well. But after that, you're either in or out, right? You either love being a landlord or you hate it, usually by the second one. So I would, again, this is not permission to stop looking. You still need 10 to 20 minutes during your baby's nap, because you never know where the deal of the decade comes from, right? You're doing this, you lock up a deal, you get 7%, you're passing on great ones, and then out of nowhere, an agent calls you with an off-market opportunity in your area next door. It's a 12. Well, you know what? Lock that deal up, and then let's see what happens, right? So that's why you have to keep looking. Never stop looking.
Never stop looking. Yeah. So that's kind of the process I was hoping we'd go through, because then it's, yeah, as you said, 3 months at least, and rent and repeat.
Yeah.
I have some experience with purchasing, going through the lending process, both on the purchase and also the refi side. Is there any nuance within there other than just the rate maybe is a little bit higher? The percent down is, instead of 20, it's 25. Any other nuance that I should be looking for?
No, you've nailed it. It's at least 25% down for most people on investment loans. The rate's about 0.5% higher on an investment loan. If you ever get to 10, the game changes. You have to get a portfolio loan or a commercial loan. Rates are like 6.5 today, but I wouldn't stress. You're at 1 or soon to be at 1. So know that it's out there, but that's years down the line. And frankly, lending could be totally different by then. So maybe it's easy. Who knows? So I wouldn't stress about that.
Yeah, it was very different back when you were doing those deals in 2010, right?
Yeah,
so,
very different, very different. So it could change. Yeah. But yeah, there's no difference. You've got it.
What other is there anything in those steps that I tried to lay out, because that's all I have in my mind, whether it's from the emotional side and the patient side, or any other recommendations you give from saying, hey, okay, you have your PM, but then don't just go to bed with any realtor or
I think listening to these questions, I guess there's a couple of takeaways for me. First, I want to give you permission to be patient, right? That was kind of a takeaway from this. No need to rush. If this was like 2017, it'd be like, go make those offers, get going. It was a normal market, right? It was kind of 60-40 owners versus investors. But late 2020 is very owner occupied. I've never seen a market like this. So permission to go slow. That's one. Second, you need to spend more time growing your network, right? You should have a goal, right? You see me do weekly goals all the time. You should set up a weekly goal that says, I don't know what it is for you. I'm going to meet 2 people a week, and you need to hold yourself accountable. And again, it's different types of people, right? Sometimes it's investors. Sometimes it's, realtors, sometimes painters, contractors, handymen. Just continually spiral out your network in Houston. And it's not just about meeting them. Say, hey, Mike, I met a contractor. No, it's, hey, Mike, I met a contractor. I had a 10-minute conversation. I validated that Deer Creek or Deer Park is where I want to be. Or, you know what? He just told me he did a flip out there and it sucks. Right? Just continually validate and cross-checking your information. That's work that's later in the course, right? Step 1 is learn. Step 2 is the math. Now you got to start exercising muscle memory, growing your network. And then lastly, is you're doing better than you think you are. I got the feeling from these questions, you're like looking for something you've missed. I don't think you're missing anything. I think you need to realize that the work doesn't stop. You certainly got the basics of step 1 and step 2 in the course. Now it's about exercising the network. I think you're pretty close. That's what I took away from these, part 1, part 2 of these questions.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So those were the questions, and I know we're bumping up against some time here.
Yeah. No worries, man. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Just wanted to say thank you very much for this, and happy holidays, not only to you and your family, but everyone who's listening on your YouTube channel.
Cool, man. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate you. You know how to get a hold of me. If you get another list of questions, let's do this again.
Will do.
Thanks, buddy. Bye.
Thanks.